Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to set up my planners and journals for April 2025, and because it's the start of the new quarter, I'm going to do a little bit of a check-in and let you guys know how I'm doing in my journals and planners and switch it up a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Hi friends. I'm so happy that it's almost April. I'm ready for spring. I am not a huge spring person, but I am really excited about it this year. And before I dive into setting up my planners and journals for April, I wanted to share a little bit about my lineup and where things are. So we're entering the second quarter of 2025, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm not a huge planner or journal hopper. I like to stick with something for the year. I really love having that completed book at the end of the year, but something just wasn't clicking in my lineup. So this is my overflow journal. So this is kind of like as I need to add to it. I have like some journaling in here. I did set up this 2025 in the world list, and this was inspired by I think maybe all the rad reads. I'm not sure. Somebody I saw did this, and I thought this was really cool to do a year in review. Maybe it was Natasha in your phone. I can't remember who did this, but if you guys know, let me know in the comments so I can link them, because this was something I saw someone do and I thought it was super cool. I need to go back and add to it, but just kind of things that are happening in the world this year by the alphabet. And then it goes on to the next page. And then, so I didn't really use this much in February. I had one day with some journaling. But then in March, I have been, like I said, I've been struggling with my lineup a little bit. And then I decided to kind of evaluate my lineup and see kind of what was I thinking, what was I feeling, what was really working and not working. So let's start with what's not working. Okay, these are my 5-year journal, and I started this, let me find a page I can show you guys. Okay, so let's start with January 1st. So I actually started this in 2021 on my birthday which is October 10th. And so this would run to my birthday in 2026. So I have like a little more than a year, like a year and a half left in here. And it's just not working for me. So I set these up in Archer and Olive notebooks. I made them myself because at the time I was not yet a Hobonichi girly, and I was really into like these thicker journals with the super thick, nice quality paper, which is still amazing, but just not my style anymore. And what I did was I made these myself. At the end of each month, I was adding a photo of myself, and I was enjoying it for a couple of years. Then I fell off a little bit. I kind of got re-inspired recently to start adding a little bit of like decor in here. So let me find okay, so I'm just covering a little bit here, but basically what I was doing is just writing some stuff in 2022. Then the second year I started writing with like a thicker marker just to have it be quicker. And then in 2024, I was pretty much just writing. I added some washi every so often. And then recently I started trying to want to like decorate using some stamps, some washi, stickers, and make it a little prettier. And I did enjoy this, but I don't like the way it looks with all of these like non-decorated pieces. And this was just becoming a chore and I was really not enjoying it. So I kind of thought, okay, what if I let this go? How do I feel about that? And it's, on one hand, it's hard. I started this in 2021. I've seen it through for nearly 4 years of a 5-year journal. But what I have in here, 3.5 years worth, is amazing. I'm going to keep these. I'm going to put them on my shelf, but I'm going to walk away from this. And that is not something I typically do, but it feels so freeing to let that journal go. So that was kind of one of the things I kind of got through going through all of my journals and kind of what is working and what's not working. So then I have my 2 Hobonichi Weeks. One of these this one was like my everyday carry, which I was using so the calendar pieces have the I was using the Coffee Monster Co. stuff to decorate them, and it was really a functional future planner. And I was carrying this with me, so I always had my calendar with me, which was very useful. For the weekly spreads, I was not really using them that much. Occasionally I would come in here, do some doodles, do some lists. Sometimes they were prettier, sometimes it was not. And a lot of my goal with this was writing stuff down that I didn't want to forget on the go that I needed to transfer into another book. And then the back pages, I just really wasn't using them very much. This one was my health planner. So, our health journal. Most of these I don't want to share, but this one I had looked at to make sure I could share it. This is generally what my health journal looked like. I was documenting the weather. I was documenting my mood and my energy levels, some notes for each day, including like when I have headaches and medications and workouts. And then I was tracking things that I wanted to do and things I didn't want to happen. So like symptoms, and then had some notes. This week here was pretty well filled out. A lot of my weeks I skipped things. I didn't fill them out. I had gaps. That's fine. The problem was I was feeling very overwhelmed. And part of that was a lot of these things were being duplicated. I'm documenting weather in my Hobonichi Cousin. On this page, I'm doing like a today's high temperature. And often in my daily pages, I'm putting the weather, especially if it's of something to note. I'm documenting my exercise in here, in my trackers right here. So I feel like this is too duplicative. I wanted a lot of this, and my goal was to have all of this in one place so I could see trends and stuff. The problem is on a weekly scale, you can't really see those trends. What I really wanted to do was transfer these to the monthlies and see the trends. You can see I never did that. I kind of did a little on this day, on January, but like I just didn't do it. I didn't have the time or the energy to do it and actually make it look how I wanted it to look. So it was not working for me. And so I decided I need to let this one go. I still want to track symptoms and things, and I think I want to do that just in my other journals and planners as they feel relevant and important, but I'm not going to worry about keeping a separate one. Then the struggle was I have these two. This one I still need. This one I don't, but I love the Paddington, and I don't want to let go of Paddington. So what I decided to do is I'm going to turn this one into my functional everyday carry. Now I already put in here all of these stickers for the entire year, so I had to let those go, but it was either let those go or let the Paddington Weeks go, and I just wasn't ready to let the Paddington Weeks go. I also kind of decided I don't like using these. I love the Coffee Monster Co. Her designs are adorable, but I don't know. I just don't like the way they look on here. It looks too, I don't know. I like the simpler. I like adding my own washi or things to decorate and not having to worry so much about like having them all uniform. So I think I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to use this one a little more minimalist. And then for the weeks, like the weekly sections, I'm going to do kind of what I was doing in here, where I am, like some of them I had decorated like this one. Others I just had like random lists and like notes and stuff. I'm gonna kind of do the same as needed. As I have energy and stuff, I will update these. I will probably have empty weeks, that's fine. In the back, I will use this for like random notes and scratch paper, and that will kind of bring me to my other change. So in here, this is my functional planner. And I have been loving it. It's very useful for me. I'm using it for my to-do lists. I have my meals, my work schedule, my meal planning. I have random notes, my tracking. I have like notes about like specific like things. I had to call the sprinkler company, so that's on here. I have some notes for like a YouTube video I was editing. Here's my shopping list for a Coffee Monster Co. sale. So like this is kind of how it was coming together, and this was useful and nice. It's not very pretty and that was bothering me. So I was super inspired by Michaela on YouTube. I recently found her channel, and it looks like she recently just started it, and I will link it down below for you, but she uses a Take-A-Note, and she uses the A6 size. So I have the A5, but she uses it for functional planning and also adds notes and things and makes it super cute. So I started doing that here and I like it. I'm writing down book suggestions. I'm writing down specific notes. I wrote down like an ink suggestion. I'm writing down like events, just a little bit of journaling, but nothing like super important, and just decorations and just having fun with it. So it is now the 29th when I'm filming this, and I'm going to add to this as I go throughout the day, but I'm not worried too much about it. I think this will be fun. I'm going to use it for notes and stuff, but just have it be a little more aesthetic. And this one in the back will be for like my messy notes that are not super pretty. And maybe I'll take notes in here when I'm working on something and transfer them. And I know that that's like a little silly sometimes, but if I'm enjoying it, I'm okay with it. So my Hobonichi Cousin, I'm keeping the same. I am a little bit struggling with the weeklies. I do like how this week is coming out so far, but I was struggling a little bit. I think it was becoming a little repetitive for me. And what I do in here is I write down what I do every day. And I do the same thing every day. I go to work, I come home, I journal, I do yoga, I play video games, I make dinner, eat dinner, watch TV, cross stitch, read, and go to bed. Like, it's the same thing every day. And writing that every day gets a little tedious. So I'm starting to try to think of ways that I can maybe break it up. I started doing some doodles because I'm super inspired how Lindsay Scribbles does her doodles. And I'm just not a very good doodler, but I know we need to practice. So I'm mixing in my doodles again with the stickers. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that. But what I'm really thinking is for 2026, maybe moving away from the cousin, because I'm thinking if I started using this portion to write in kind of the highlights of the day for Project Life purposes, which is why I need this, I don't need to write in, that I watch TV and cross stitch before bed, like after dinner, because I do that like most of the time. So I don't really need to note that every day. So I'm thinking I could possibly do something like that and start kind of transitioning to putting that in here. But for now, I'm going to keep doing this and see how I feel. And then my dailies, I've been super loving my dailies lately. I've been really into them. But what I'm thinking is I could see in the future not wanting the dated pages. So I could do my own like undated, well, I would date them, but that way I could write as much or as little and I wouldn't need an overflow book. And I could, I'm getting more annoyed this year with having this stuff at the bottom. I feel like it's bothering me having this like space. So that's just kind of where I am as a Q1 check-in. But what I'm thinking is just kind of to recap. This is staying the same, but I'm working on making a little more aesthetic. This is essentially staying the same. My craft planner is staying the same. And my overflow journal is staying the same. I'm letting go of my 5-year journal and I'm letting go of this week's. And I'm going to repurpose this week's to be my more functional planner. So I'm pretty excited about this lineup. It's making me kind of rejuvenated for my journaling and crafting, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. So I actually filmed my flip through or my setup for April in here and in here already. So I will put that actually after this segment. But now the only other thing I need to do to set up, and for this one, for my setup, is I really just need to put like my April sticker, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just wait and see if I end up doing more journaling in March. And you can see like I'm a quarter into the year and I have, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages used. Having this entire thing is a little silly, but maybe I'll ramp up my journaling. I would like to have more in here, but we'll see. So what I need to do now is set up my monthly. So how I've been doing it is I'm moving into April. I'm going to set up the stickers for May and set up May in here, set up my April task list because I use this for future planning. And in here, these are already set up because I did copy all of this over from my other planner from this one. So I have all of my appointments and everything from April and May and stuff in here. We're traveling in May. So don't really need to do anything on here. I might add a little bit of decor, but besides that, I'm thinking that this one might just be useful for transferring information and not worry so much about making it pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on voiceover or music. I'm going to do a combination of both as I have been doing. Well, as I set up April and May in here and just get these ones ready to go. And then I will work on those other two. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my task list for April. And this is my cleaning task list. And I've had people in the past ask, what are all the things on my list? And I kind of hesitate to share my exact list. I know you can probably see it if you zoom in, but these are all the things I need to clean in my house, and it's tailored to the design of my house, like the specific rooms that I have and the way that I use them. So basically what this list are all of the things I want to clean once during the month. This is somewhat of an ambitious list. I would say I am fairly clean in my house, but I am not perfect at getting everything clean every month. So having this list on here makes it helpful for me to kind of make sure that I'm staying on top of my cleaning enough and that one area of my house doesn't go uncleaned for too long. So you can see I use the zig dot marker next to each item. And what I will do is write the date in on it when I do it. So if you looked at the April or the March one, there are some of those have numbers written on them. Those are the things that I did in March. And you can see it's not very many. And, that's sometimes how it goes. Sometimes I have a less productive cleaning month than others. I would say I think January was very good. And then February and March were a little less so. So hopefully April, I'm a little bit more productive. But on this list, in addition to the things that I do every month, I have my annual cleaning. So you saw probably I flipped back to the Calendex type page. And on that page, I have a list of things for each month that I want to accomplish in that month. And those are the things that I do only like once or twice a year, and they are kind of scheduled when I do my annual setup. And I believe that you can see more of that in my 2025 lineup video or setup video. I will link that down below if you are interested in seeing more about how I do the annual cleaning trackers. But essentially what I do is I transferred all of the items that I wanted to accomplish in April onto my April calendar page. In addition to that, I put the ones that I had scheduled for earlier this year that I just maybe didn't get to. And sometimes those annual cleaning things they're just deeper cleaning and I don't necessarily get to them when I want to, but this is just an ambitious list. So I'm adding some of those on there. So that includes like the ones that were for April were my spring yard work, a bookshelf refresh, and starting a deep clean of my kitchen cabinets for spring cleaning. I also had the things that I didn't accomplish earlier this year, which are deep cleaning my kitchen shelves, the microwave, the basement, my shower stall, like deep cleaning it as opposed to just like the regular cleaning, detailing my car, and the cat closet, which is where the cat box is stored. So like cleaning out that entire closet in a deep clean way. So I wanted to put those on this list. I don't know that I will accomplish all of them in April, but that is the goal. And you could see I also added a little bit of decor onto my April list that I don't normally do. I'm just having a little more fun with this than I have in the past. So moving on, I'm now working on the March page because there were a few things I didn't fill in. And I've pulled over my craft planner and you can see I have my project life schedule there. And what my project life schedule is showing is basically what week or what dates, what kit I'm planning on using, what page protectors I'm planning on using, and whether or not I've done it yet. So what I'm doing is just transferring the kit that I plan to use into the box on the far right side for each of these weeks. And that just kind of gives me that help when I'm looking in my planner and planning out my week and living my week. I can see what kit I'm planning on using to document that week. And if it is more of a specific theme, I can use that to kind of prompt the stories and memories that I document in my journal and my planner throughout the week. So for example, if I was using like one of the older story kits, say for example, the morning story kit, I would see that every morning as I'm planning out my day, and that would push me to kind of document a little bit more of those morning stories or take more morning photos so that I would have them when I go to create that project life spread. Now I'm moving on to setting up my May spread. So like I said, although this is my April plan with me, I use my planner a lot for future planning. That's pretty much what the monthly spreads are for me. So what I'm doing is setting up the May spread. So during the course of April, I can look ahead to what's going on in May. I pulled over my Commonplace book because I printed out something from the Coffee Monster Co. to see what highlighters and colors went with the kit, but I did get this new mild liner set. So this was the new 2025 release mild liner colors, and I picked mine up on Jet Pens. I don't know if they're yet on Amazon or elsewhere. They're kind of hard to find still, but they are new release and I really, really love them. So if you are a mild liner fan, I suggest going and finding these and picking them up. I don't have a link for them, but they are the new 2025 released colors. So I swatched them out in my weeks just because I want to try to use one of these or two of these to coordinate with this kit, even though that's not what was on Helen's list. And I was just excited to use the new one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm setting up the spread with the kit from the Coffee Monster Co. And I really love the colors of the May kit. I think one of the reasons why I was like a little down on these kits in April or setting up April is I don't like the color scheme of the April kit. The March one was cute. The April one, I don't know. It was just kind of dreary. I know it was supposed to be like April showers, but it just doesn't fit my feeling for the month of April. So I wasn't thrilled about it, but the May one I absolutely love. It's like this farmer's market theme, and I just love the colors. It's so fun and happy. So I'm excited about that. And then I decided to use two of the mild liners from the new release. There's a purple one and a light blue one, and I thought that those went fairly well, so I'm going to just use those in my spread. I'm writing out the title of the month, and I'm going to outline that in pen. But first, I'm just going ahead and setting up all of the stickers and everything that I need. I have a sticker there at the left, which is going to be the header of my cleaning tracker, but I will not set that up until I'm doing my May plan with me because I don't know exactly what is going to be accomplished in April or what my focus is going to be for May until I get there. Right now, I'm more focused on April, and setting up this May calendar is just so I can put those future plans like dates, appointments and that type of thing in my calendar and have them with me in this planner. They are all in that Hobonichi Weeks. I have the entire year planned out for anything that's scheduled later in the year in case I need to reference it. And the weeks, like I said, is my one that I carry along with me. And I use that, I have the whole year in there because, for example, if I go to the dentist and I'm sitting there and I need to schedule my next appointment in 6 months, I can pull out my planner, I can look 6 months in the future, and I can see when I'm available to schedule that appointment and write it down so that when I get there, I will have that information to transfer to my main planner. I'm using my mild liners to highlight on days. So I'm using this light blue one to highlight my work schedule, which essentially is just the days that I'm not at work that I should be at work. So I have a full-time job. I work Monday through Friday. I do have a very flexible job, but I pretty much work on all weekdays unless there's something else going on. So I do have every other Friday off, so I mark that on here. And we also had a holiday in May, which is Memorial Day, so I mark that. And then I'm taking a decent amount of vacation time, you can see there. So I marked those days because they are days that I'm going to be off from work. Then I use the purple mild liner to highlight when our actual travel is. We are going to the West Coast of the United States for a couple of weeks there, and so I wanted to add that in here. After I finish photographing these spreads, I will add my flight information and hotel information and stuff on here so I have that readily available. I just don't want to share that on the internet prior to going on this vacation. But what I did do is add the stickers in for the holidays that happened while we were gone, and I am going to make note of which cities we're going to be in so that I have that information just kind of like on the spread. There were a few different holidays this month, so I added those. And then my daughter's birthday is on the 16th, so I added a balloon for that and a note that she is going to be 20. And then I'm adding the few appointments I have. I have a doctor's appointment and I have a work meeting already scheduled for later in May. So I'm adding those onto my calendar. As additional things get scheduled as we get closer to May, I will fill those in. I also added on some payday stickers. I cut that part out because it was taking a while. But I added those the little dollar stickers for the days I get paid, which is just a nice reminder to have because those are the days that I also pay my bills. I'm adding in all of the places that we are going to be visiting on our vacation. So you can see we are going to Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, and then visiting my parents in their hometown. And we're also going to do a few other things along the way, which I will share more details about that as I'm traveling. As I have been doing, I will share my travel adventures on my Instagram stories so you can follow along there. And then I will also share vlogs for how I bring my journal and do that while I'm on my vacation, in addition to everything that we go and see. Those videos have been super fun to make. I don't think they are as successful with you guys as videos like this one, but I have gotten a lot of positive feedback. So let me know in the comments if you do like seeing those travel videos and if there's anything that you would prefer me to do in those videos to make them more interesting for you to watch, or if it's just not your thing, that's okay. You can let me know that too. And I definitely make content on here, both based on what I feel like making and what you guys want to see from me. I also decided to add a this month at the top and do a few like bullet point focuses for the month. I don't really do monthly goals because I found that when I used to do that, a month is just not that much time to accomplish a lot of things that are more longer term goals. And instead, I've been doing vision boards, which I love. And you'll see me set up my April vision board later in this video. But for now, I'm thinking I might want to do some focuses for the month. So this is what I did. I just added one because, again, I'm not planning May yet, but then I'm flipping back to April and I'm going to add my focuses on there. For April, I decided I'm going to focus on spring cleaning. I'm going to focus on preparing for my vacation, which is in the beginning of May, which means just getting my work situated, my YouTube situated, everything that needs to be done to prepare for being away for 2 weeks. And then the last one I put is my yard prep, because April is really when the gardens are, I don't really have a garden, but the plants and everything start waking up from winter, and I need to get it all set and looking nice before we go on our vacation. I was thinking a little bit about what that third one was going to be there before I wrote it in. And I'm just going to wrap up these spreads. I'm going to put a little bit of music on as I do, but I will pop back on for some voiceover combined with music. After this, I set up these two planners. I am going to do my craft planning, and then towards the end of the video, I am going to do my setup for my monthly vision board in my Hobonichi Cousin. If you are only interested in seeing portions, I do have timestamps down below in the description box if you want to skip ahead. Okay, so I'm starting out by planning my projects for April. And how I do my craft planning, this is basically the same format I've used in the past, but essentially the left-hand side are my project goals and the right-hand side are my project tracking. So I'm starting with my project goals. So what I want to accomplish in April. So first, I typically start with project life. I feel like in this current season, project life is my primary scrapbooking project. I am really focused on my journals. I really love journaling. I still love scrapbooking, but I feel like in my current season of life, journaling is just a cozier, easier hobby. It's way more accessible. I can bring it with me. Scrapbooking takes a lot more effort. So while I am still doing quite a bit of scrapbooking, I don't do it on an everyday basis, and I am prioritizing project life and my creative team assignments. So I put my project life at the top. Those are the things, these are the spreads that I think I can accomplish during the month of April. So pretty much to stay current and go through the end of April. And then my creative team assignments, I put the things that I know I have. I have a few other ones that are in the works, collaborations and that type of thing that I'm not actually going to write out on here because I don't yet know for sure what the details are. But I'm leaving space to fill that in because I expect there to be something in April. The next big scrapbook project that I really want to tackle this month is my travel album for our recent vacation to Doha and Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So I haven't done a travel album in a while, and I'm actually feeling pretty stumped about this one. I have a plan for what album I want to use and what I want to make the album cover look like, but other than that, I'm a little bit stumped. So you can see here, I'm checking in on my annual goal page and putting my top priorities for April, which you can see they are what I basically just talked about, my travel album and working through a layout backlog. And I'm just looking through kind of what else I want to put down. I kind of forgot what I wrote on there, but I did flip that pretty quick. So what it was working on my 2025 mini-me. So essentially, I kind of want to just stay current and focus on that. And I want to focus on my album for my travel. And then what I put for below that, I put my traditional layouts and my 2025 mini-me's because those are kind of, I want to work through that backlog a little bit. I think I talked about that a bit more last month, but I do have a pretty large backlog of planned projects that I have not yet put together. And you'll see I'm going to add that to my tracker this month. I also added it in March, but I don't know if I added it. I think I added it mid-month, so it wasn't in my Plan With Me video. But essentially what I'm doing now are setting up my trackers, and on the right-hand part of the left page there, I put a header that says projects. And one of the things I do in my tracking is write down every single scrapbook project I create during the month. I do this for a couple of reasons. The first is I like having that list of what I have accomplished so I can see whether or not I'm actually scrapbooking and getting pages done, or whether or not I'm just not scrapbooking. And you know, scrapbooking is something I do for fun. So if I'm choosing not to scrapbook in a month, that's totally fine. I just know that sometimes I feel like I'm scrapbooking a lot and it turns out I didn't make that much. And sometimes I feel like I didn't do that much and I really did. So having that list is really helpful to have a realistic picture of what I'm doing. And that does help inform my decisions going forward, because if I'm not scrapbooking a lot, I'm going to not allow myself to purchase as many new products for scrapbooking. I'm not going to plan as many new projects, and vice versa. If I am scrapbooking a lot, I will focus more of my purchasing on scrapbooking projects and my planning. On the right-hand side, I'm including all of my product tracking. So I've talked about this in more detail in some of my other Plan With Me videos, but essentially what I do is I'm tracking certain products that come in and products that go out. So essentially the idea is the products that I'm purchasing or gifted to me, I want to make sure that I'm actually using them. So I will put on my tracker the numbers that come in, and I list out the different manufacturers and things like that. And then I will list out the ones that are leaving. So at the end of the month, I can see whether or not these are actually whether or not I'm actually using the supplies that are coming in. So if I see a lot of cards coming from a specific brand and I'm not using anything from that brand, I need to reassess whether or not purchasing those supplies is useful for me in this current season. Okay, so you can see I have moved on to my Hobonichi Cousin and I'm working on my vision board for April. I started by flipping through a couple of magazines and you saw I added a sticky note there. That was because this is a travel magazine and that was actually an article about somewhere I'm actually planning a trip to right now. So it made sense to just mark it for when I'm doing research for that vacation. I don't typically use my travel magazines to actually plan vacations because there's so much information available online, but I do like getting these magazines to cut things out and use them in my journal. And sometimes there is something a little bit helpful, or at least a starting point for some of my travel research. What I'm looking for in terms of flipping through here are a few different things. I'm looking for letters to use for titles, which you saw me cut out the word, I think it was broken right there. And that is just for a title. And then I'm also looking for, so just so that I can use those letters, not actually write the word broken. And then I'm also looking for words and phrases that will fit nicely into my vision board. And I'm looking for images that could work nicely on my monthly layouts or also on just like my regular journal spreads. So I feel like I have a pretty good routine that I go through when I'm creating my vision board. And I tend to do this every month as I'm getting ready for the month. And I feel like I don't really force it and I don't plan like on a specific day, like, oh, this is when I'm going to do this. It's just kind of however I feel like working on my vision board and when I feel ready for it. So basically, what I'm doing, in addition to cutting out things to put into my magazine clipping stash, I'm cutting out specific words that I might want to use in my vision board. And then what I'm going to do after I have those words is look for words that are in my stash that will work on my vision board to add to the pile of words that I cut out specifically for this vision board. And I'm also looking at some of those. See, I have like beach and vacation there. I'm not planning on going to a beach. I'm not going on vacation in April. So those are going to end up going into my stash of words and not into this actual vision board. So another question I get is kind of like, when do I stop cutting out of magazines? And it's pretty much just however I feel like it. So when I get new magazines in the mail, I tend to put them in a stack on my desk to flip through, and I often will pull some older ones out of my stash. I do have a backlog of magazines that I haven't flipped through to cut images out of or words out of because I was getting magazine subscriptions for years and not using them to cut stuff out. And I had kept those because I felt like I was going to do this at some point in time. And I know that can be kind of a little hoarderish, but I do keep a lot of things that I feel could be useful for my crafting. And I feel like I've been pretty good at assessing what is useful and what is not because I do go back and use these things. So I feel okay about it. I also do have a lot of storage space in my home. I have a very large basement with a lot of extra space. So I'm not concerned about storing too many things. If you don't have that type of space, then I wouldn't recommend keeping all sorts of things, but having magazines to cut stuff out of is just something I've really enjoyed. And you can get a lot of cheap ones if you subscribe online. I am actually looking for a new source to pick up my magazines, but I will share more information when I find another good source. I don't have one now. I'm kind of between websites, but there are places you can subscribe online. And I really recommend subscribing to magazines rather than picking them up at the newsstand because those are just so much more expensive. So anyways, I have gone through a few magazines in this video. I did cut out some of my flipping through magazine because it can get a little repetitive, but I do think that if you want to do this and that this might be helpful either to craft along with me or to see kind of the types of things that I do cut out and what kind of catches my eye. Once I've decided I'm done flipping through magazines, my process starts with finding a foundational image for my spread. So I like to build my vision board on top of a foundational image that's going to cover pretty much the entire page. So I have a whole stack of these. You can see I have all of these ones I've cut out of or pulled out of magazines. And as I'm flipping through magazines, I'm always looking for more to add to this stack, but I didn't actually find any on this day. But I did flip through that stack and you can see a lot of these are seasonal. So as I'm going through seasonal images, some of them I know for a fact just aren't going to be good for April, but I ended up going with this floral and I thought this was super pretty and perfect for the feel that I want in April. I'm really feeling spring this year. Spring is not my favorite season. It is one of my least favorite seasons after winter, but I decided, I don't know, I'm feeling it this year. I'm excited about it. I think I made it a bit better last year. So that ended up making me enjoy it or look forward to it more this year, but we'll see how it goes. Once I adhere that down in my journal, I will add some white washi tape along the edge so that when you flip the page, you're not going to get the page kind of catching. And then I'm going to work on writing the word April from my alphabet stash. So I have this tray of alphabets, and this is where I keep all of my extra alphabet. You can see I added some more in here today, and I'm just picking out ones to write April twice, once for my vision board and once for my monthly calendar. I keep meaning to share a reel of this on Instagram and I haven't yet done that, but hopefully I'll do that soon. But I do have more information in the description box below if you'd like to create your own alphabet storage for something like this if you want to do collaging. I like to use these not only on my vision board and my monthly calendar, but I do use them in my journaling as well. And I like the look of the collected kind of magazine letters in my journaling spread. After I add the words April onto everything, I'm going to go through my words and stack those on here as well to create my spread. At this point in the process, I think I was feeling like I was a little bit ready to be done, so I did go through it pretty quickly, but I've been doing these for a while now, so it was kind of easy to just get this to come together. You also can see that I have a new tray to organize my magazine clippings, and I have a new video coming out soon with more information about that, so stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.